Imagine with me, if you would, a civilization called subterraneous that has lived in the underground for millennia, society after society being born, generation after generation, never having seen sunlight, not even aware any longer that there is an outside world outside of their cave, so far and deep in the ground that no one has ever come to the surface in thousands of years. As far as they know, there is no surface. No one's ever been there. Imagine in this cave system one passageway right in the middle of the thoroughfare of where many subterraneans travel every day is a passageway that's blocked off by simple ropes. Anyone could cross over them, but as they pass, they read a sign that was placed near the entrance to the passageway, and the sign reads, "The Forbidden Passage." The sign was very old. In fact, no one even remembered how long the sign had been there, perhaps hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. What civilization put it there, they didn't know. So, no one has ever been down that cave. The reason for the sign being there had been long forgotten. One day, a subterranean, we'll just call him William for today. William was exploring some passageways near the forbidden entrance, just above the forbidden entrance, and lo and behold, some rocks gave way and William fell below, and when he came to, he stood up and he realized he was just inside the forbidden cave. You can see some people walking by in the distance, their silhouette of their from the torchlight casting shadows against the cave walls as they walked by. And as soon as he realized where he was, his first impulse was to run back out of the cave and say, "I shouldn't be here." But quickly he realized, wait a minute, these people, they're going to wonder why did I go in the forbidden cave, and they're going to look at me badly. Even though he had just stumbled in it, he wasn't willing to take the chance. He really didn't want the judgment of the others, so instead William decided to turn and say, well, nobody knows I'm here. I think I'm just going to explore further down the forbidden passageway. And so on William went around curves. No one who had ever shined a light had ever seen past the initial curves, and so the passageway was very obscure. And as far as anyone knew, it led to nowhere anyway, and since it was forbidden, no one had ever tried. So William went around the initial curves, and to his surprise, the passageway was not that long. In just what seemed like just a few minutes, probably just 5 or 10 minute walk, but it went very quickly as you're awing at new sights and wondering what is this? Why has nobody been here before? And in that short time, he came to a hole that was brighter than anything he had seen in subterraneous. A light very bright. And William, at first, his eyes squinted and he didn't know what to make of the light. He noticed that the regular animals of the cave, the clear fish and the clear spiders, they were not here. He had passed them further back in the cave. Of course, the fish and the animals in caves, they'd lost their pigment from where they'd lived in there so long, and some of them had lost their eyes, and Here things were different. He saw some plants with color growing near where the light had shone down. What bizarre thing is this? William wondered. William ventured himself a little closer to the hole, and he realized he could fit out the hole. A little fearful, but still intimidated to go back just yet, he decided, I gotta see what this is. And so William poked his head up through the hole. And to his surprise, light was everywhere. The light that had come through the hole was now all over the place. William took careful notice to pay attention to from where he had come from. And he began to explore this new world. He saw large trees and much larger animals than anything he had seen before, roaming through these woods, but he had no words to describe the woods, just tall, hard things with soft things on them. His vocabulary escaped him because no one had ever seen or described these things before. The air seemed to move much faster, and the temperature rose to unimaginable temperatures because where he had lived this entire life, the temperature had always been the same. It never changed. There were breezes, light breezes, occasionally, but nothing like what he felt. Breezes so strong that it pushed against him. What is this place, he wondered. William's curiosity just overexcited him so much that he just didn't know what to do with himself. So he went back in the hole and the previous thoughts that he had of his friends judging him for going down just went out the window. He was so excited to tell people what he saw. He didn't even think to bring anything back. He just had to go run and tell somebody. I mean, how would you feel? You spent your entire life in a cave and didn't even know that such a world existed. You never knew that you lived in a cave. You just thought this was the world. So William runs past the vines in the cave, and he goes back across the ropes that had sealed off the forbidden passageway. At first, no one had even noticed that he had come out of that entrance, and so he was relieved, and he said, wow, nobody even knew that I was in there. But it didn't matter. Those thoughts went so fast from his head, he still had to tell somebody. He said, they're missing out. They've got to see this new place. So he runs to his friends, and the first people he sees, he goes, the forbidden passage, the forbidden passage. Don't you know what's in there? And to his surprise, there was no interest of, wow, tell me more. Instead, he got scowls and looks like, what? What are you talking about? Why would anybody go down the forbidden passage? William thought at first, well, these people, they're not going to hear me. They don't know what's going on. I need to tell somebody that I know closer. And so he went to some of his family and some of his best friends, and immediately he goes, hey, friends, family, do you know what's in the forbidden passage? Immediately the friends jumped back, and his family even looked at him with consternation. What do you mean, the forbidden passage? And William replied, it's there. There's something in there, a bright light, and and warmth and air like I've never seen before, and huge plants and roaming animals. But rather than showing the surprise and the desire to discover what he could be talking about, instead they seemed fearful and afraid. Others looked at him with disgust, and all they could say was, "Why did you go down the forbidden passage? Don't you know it's forbidden? It says right there on the sign, 'Do not enter. Forbidden passage.' There's ropes. Nobody goes past ropes." To which he replied, I didn't mean to go there." Already in a defensive posture, William has to explain to them that he didn't even intend to go down this passage, but that he fell in from the caves above when he was exploring and working some in the caves above the forbidden passage. Some rocks gave way, and how he went in there, but instead of wondering, well, okay, it was an accident, so you have a reason, so why didn't you, so what did you see next? Instead they were, well, why didn't you just come out of the cave immediately? Of course, William tried to explain to them that he was afraid of what they would say. And instead of having compassion and understanding, or even recognizing the error of their judgments, they instead became even more irate. "Well, how did you think we would feel if you went further down the passage? Why are you telling this? Don't tell us anymore. We don't want to know. What if somebody knows that we know something about the forbidden passage? What will they think of us?" William couldn't believe his ears. He said, "But friends, you've got to believe me. There's such wondrous things out there." But they wouldn't listen. William decided instead to wait until no one was looking, and through the next several days and weeks, William would sneak out the forbidden passage and explore further and further into this land of light. He began to take back samples, try different foods that he found. It began to dawn on him that his people, had they just known what was out here, could benefit greatly if they would just get over their fear of going down a passage that no one even knows why it's forbidden. And this, my friends, this is how so many of us live our lives today. I call this the Decoder's dilemma. We've seen a world that most people can't understand. And the only reason they think it's wrong is because there's a sign, there's something they've been told their whole life. No, this is a forbidden passage. Don't go down that. Don't you know that if you can't see down to the end of it and it's dark and there's ropes that you're not supposed to go there, there's signs right there that say don't do it. And many of us, we stumbled across this passageway, not even intending at first, but quickly understanding the consternation of the people that we know, decided to explore a little more and a little more and a little more. And soon we began to realize that this isn't all that bad. Oh, it's a little scary at times. There's things I don't fully understand yet. But you know what? I'm the only one out here. So I have to figure this out for myself. Who do I talk to? I can't go back and talk to my friends anymore. I feel like I maybe would like to understand things better. Maybe that I don't even know all the right answers, that I'm filling out this new land, and yet Who do I talk to? Because the second that you say that you've been down the forbidden passage, oh my goodness, that's it. The conversation's over. You are looked at in a very, very bad way. You see, William begins to develop a complex, beginning to feel like the world that he knows, even though he knows that it's real, it feels less real than subterraneous, because if no one will go down the forbidden passage with him, what use is all this information? What use is this amazing new world if nobody ever can see it? And of course, no matter how much evidence he brings them, pieces of plants and things they'd never seen, animals with color and insects and things he brings to them, instead of considering the evidence or realizing, okay, you've been down this passage, you've seen this, you understand this, tell us about it. Instead, every time the more evidence that he comes, this harsher and harsher become the replies. Some of them begin to think that he should be forbidden as much as the passage, because he's now associated with this passage and all these new and crazy ideas. So his friends live their lives never having experienced the world above. And poor William begins to get depressed and lonely, knowing that all of his friends think that he's the one with a serious problem, even though William understands fully well that it's the rest of the world that just hasn't seen the truth. So what does that do to the psyche of a person? He now has a real legitimate problem, and everyone else thinks he's the one that's crazy. And that's how we live our lives. Sometimes the truth is a one-person venture. Sometimes knowing and understanding the truth is just for the few. Unfortunately, many throughout the thousands of years have discovered the same thing. The priests of ancient Egypt kept these mysteries to themselves, only to the initiated, passing it down through Babylon, through Greece, through the Roman Empire, through the magicians of the Middle Ages. Only those who swore an oath not to reveal it to the rest of the world, they could be introduced to these mysteries. I propose something different. I propose not keeping this truth to ourselves. Doing so has caused such great misery to mankind, because so many have taken this knowledge and used it not for good but for evil. Because there have been others who have been down the forbidden passage, but William didn't know it at the time, because none of them said anything. In fact, William found out later on that some of those people had been meeting for years secretly, talking about what they had seen in the above ground. But William was different. William decided he was going to tell everybody, and if everybody hated him for it, even those who had seen it and knew it but hated him for telling it, he was going to tell it. And this, truth seeker, is your challenge. Not to hide the light, but to be the city on a hill. To be the Candle is not put under a bushel. Truth should not be given only to those who swear an oath. Truth should be proclaimed so that everyone who decides they want to understand it can make that choice. And few will. Few will. The vast majority will continue down the broad road. But proclaim the truth. Some will hear, but there will be few in number, and you'll just have to accept that that's the reality of this universe. Those who want to keep it a secret will hate you, and those who want nothing to do with it will hate you just as much. Your friends and family will hate you more because now you just brought shame on them. You went down the forbidden passage. The Bible says that God dwells in the midst of darkness. How is it possible that light can dwell in the midst of darkness? It's a metaphor. It's like going down that forbidden passage. You have to seek out the light. You have to go through a period of not understanding. You have to be willing to face your fears, to not listen to those who say this is forbidden, don't go down it, and to learn and to understand the truth. To go down the narrow passage, not the broad road. In fact, a good rule of thumb can be that if everybody else is doing it, there's a good chance it's wrong. That'll lead you in the right direction more often than any other easy to follow rule of thumb. It's not always right, of course, but everybody thinks the sky is blue, and it is, but generally speaking, if everybody's doing it, there's a good chance that it's probably not the best thing. Are you the one who will explore reality for yourself? Are you the one who will decide that you're going to prove everything, regardless of what everybody said, to your own self? And then once you do understand, what you do learn, don't use it as an opportunity to get wealthy, but to proclaim it so that others can know as well. And that, my friends, is the Decoder's Dilemma. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.